Some cracking action there indeed in the Formula V. We still have plenty more to come from the Phoenix Park, so join us again in a couple of minutes. Of course, this festival isn't just about speed, it's also about style. And what about this? A 1938 TRS, and it belongs to Kieran White. Kieran, how did you come by it?
I knew it was down in Mallow. Aubrey Thompson, the original builder of the car, had held on to it, and we paid him a visit, and we had to pay him 2 subsequent visits before he deemed us suitable to get the car. So we had to pass an oral examination, if you like.
Tell me, how much work still to be done on it before it'll be mobile again?
Well, we just have to finally sort the brakes, plumb the fuel lines a little better, and then we'll start it. We have already run the engine on the bench 1,000 RPM, so I don't think there'll be a problem there.
Now, in its day, the top speed of this was what, about 118, 120 miles an hour?
In 1938 on the Craigran Straight in Cork, it did 118 miles an hour. And in 1939, September 39, the car had a race-long dice with a collie, Frazer Nash, and down the back straight of the park it was putting 110 lap after lap.
Would you race it again?
Of course, that's the whole purpose.
Well, I wish you the very, very best of luck with it. It's an absolute beauty. Time for us now to go and look at some other beauties. The Frazer Nashes, and the commentators for this, Alan Tyndall and Michael Wiley.
And there's the green lap for the second family outing of Frazer Nash. And I say family outing because a member of that family until recently has been my co-commentator Michael Wiley. It really is a family affair, isn't it?
Well, I must say in 2 senses, it's a very lovely club to belong to, everybody very helpful to each other, but it's a club that has seen in some cases 3 and 4 generations participating in these cars, which of course go back to the GNs built way before the First World War. The first of these series of cars, which are unique because of their chain drive transmission system. So as we say them, going round Dublin Crystal Corner here on their warm-up lap, we have an opportunity to see a large part of motoring history.
So it's welcome to the chain gang for the second time in the weekend here at Phoenix Park. And we are showing you the green lap, in other words, the warm-up lap, because we suspect that there is a... Look, I think there's a bit of a play acting going on there on the right of your screen. Martin Stretton looking terribly worried. He's looking down as if there's something wrong. Maybe he's lost his boot or his accelerator pedal or something. But Martin Stretton, who won yesterday, may be going to give us a bit of entertainment, I suspect, Michael.
Well, indeed, Martin, of course, virtually a professional racing driver. He has a car restoration business in England, but weekends he drives cars all over Europe, ranging from Frazer Nashes like this to modern GT Porsches. This car he's driving, it's the only one of its kind in this race. There are several others in the paddock, but it's a 328 BMW as imported into Britain in the mid-30s from 1936 onwards by Frazer Nash and actually badged as a Frazer Nash. But it doesn't have the chain drive transmission. A wonderful motor car if you just look at it, the styling for 1936. And this is a car that after the war was in fact built in Britain as the Bristol. A saloon version obviously, but basically the same car mechanically became the first post-war Bristol. So as we look at the cars coming down into the Ferry Glen, into Argos Rentals corner, we see the variety of field, all different. Almost every car has a different engine, different styling, because they stretch from the early 20s right through to the BMW of 1936.
And as I say, we're insight into a little bit of play acting that's going on. I think it epitomizes the whole spirit of this class. This is motorsport for fun at the very highest level. Here's Stretton. He's the people of Phoenix Park probably won't realize that maybe this is a little bit set up, but it's all for the benefit of the entertainment this afternoon. And Martin Stretton then going to join the back of the field after the warm-up lap, so he's going to have a lot to do. Number 22, look out for him. What a man, Mark Walker. Yesterday he provided us with such entertainment, this incredible car, Michael.
Well, it is absolutely incredible and typical of Frazer Nash mentality. Find a thing that could have been built 60, 70 years ago and build it. This is a GN chassis. It has a Riley crankcase, a V-twin, but it has the cylinder barrels which come complete with heads off a Samson Aero engine. Each cylinder is 2,000 cc, so we're looking at a 4.25 litre car that drives through little spindly chains and wheels. So quite wondrous. Just look at the valve gear working there. Maximum RPM 1400 revs. It sort of thumps every tree on the main straight here at Phoenix Park.
Lights on at the back, 5 seconds to go, 8 laps to go. The Frazer Nash race, the second running of this grid during the weekend. The end of a fabulous week in Ireland for all these enthusiasts. And off they go off the line. No problems here. Look out for Martin Stretton. He will be at the very back in that streamlined car. Down they come number 14 there, Alistair Pugh, very much in evidence. And down they come into Dublin corner for the first time.
And it's a dice between John Giles and the AC engine Beetle, and taking him in the inside, Peter Cobb and the British Samson engine Frazer Nash. So there's a bit of variety, but two Meadows engine Nashes trying to come through on the inside, and something has gone wrong. Somebody's like John Giles. Peter Cobb well out in the lead now in this beautiful motor car, typical Frazer Nash, but with a twin cam British Samson engine.
Now John Giles, I'm not spoiling the story here, but John Giles was also in our script because he told us he'd run wide, so that's the two quickest cars from yesterday are at a little bit of chicanery here, literally, in this race. So they can expect them to come up later on during the race. Meanwhile, let's read it straight.
And we're seeing it here in second place, a lady driver. That's Jo Waterfield, driving her father's Meadows engine Frazer Nash and doing incredibly well. Stretton having difficulty now, passing one of the more conventional Frazer Nashes at the back of the field.
Well, there's the leader just coming out, and we're looking for number 22. He's up into 4th place, absolutely fabulous. Mark Walker. This dates back to 1922, that car, just going through frame at the moment. There's Stretton. He's waggling around on the straights a little bit as if it was a fuel feed problem. Maybe it is. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
Maybe he's got a bit of Irish gravel into his fuel system, but there's Jo Waterfield in the green car, number 20, and she's ahead of Bill Roberts, who's the captain of the Frazer Nash section of the VSCC. A bit of a mouthful, but look at the Thunderbug. This trying to get past the larger Frazer Nash, this much older car, the engine based on a 1908 Riley crankcase.
The one that's not playing this according to plan is Peter Cobb, who's away out ahead. This is the battle now. You look out for number 24. He'll be one of the quickest cars. John Giles, I think he's the 4th of those cars, just going around the outside, trying to go around the outside of the Thunderbug. There's no space there, gentlemen.
Well, indeed, Stretton now beginning to make up, but Peter Cobb is on a flyer here. But just look at John Giles now coming up the left-hand side of the track, thumping away there, but he's really got the foot down. The 6-cylinder AC in a very old GN chassis and going tremendously well. Suffering badly from axle tramp under braking, but still a wonderful motor car. Just look at those front wheels dancing on the bumps.
So Peter Cobb keeping the whole thing honest, you might say, out the front at the moment. And then we see Martin Stretton in the background there, not quite the last car, but the blue BMW stroke Frazer Nash. And interesting, I think you were telling me yesterday, Michael, if it was right-hand drive, it was a Frazer Nash, if it was left-hand drive, it was a BMW.
Well, that's absolutely right, but the incredible thing is that there were more of them sold in Britain by Frazer Nashes because of the exchange rate at that time than there were in Germany. So most of them are Frazer Nash BMWs, although some of the original BMWs do still exist.
Stretton beginning to show then as he starts to carve up through the field. Incredible man, as I say, drives Formula One cars for a hobby. He really gets an awful lot of free drives, this guy, because of his skill and because of his entertainment value, which he's certainly giving us at the moment as he comes up alongside the Thunderbug.
Well, my goodness, look at the angles there. The Frazer Nash cars, of course, with a solid rear axle, so they have to slide them around the corners. It's actually very safe, although it doesn't look like it. But Martin Stretton beginning to carve his way back up past the chain-driven cars. He's getting level now with Jo Waterfield in the Meadows engined Byfleet TT replica. Mark Walker comes up the inside, trying as they come into Dublin Crystal Corner to pass, but doesn't quite manage it. This car, of course, only with rear wheel brakes, which makes it even the more marvellous to watch him. The skills involved being quite considerable.
Stretton leaving these two behind now as he begins to carve his way up through the field. He's now in 5th place. Well, he's now in 4th place, I think, actually, because Roberts is next up on his list.
So there we have it, Peter Cobb leading John Giles. And Bill Roberts behind that. He's captain, as I said, of the VSCC Frazer Nash section. He's got a 328 BMW engine in his car, but driving through the chains. Then we have Martin Stretton in this very distinctive helmet, which graces, as I say, Porsches and Maseratis and all sorts of things. So he's made it an interesting battle. Bill Roberts saying, come on, get past, get on it there, as John Giles tries to catch up with Peter Cobb.
And Stretton really trying now. We can see there's a prop of bit of decent motor racing going on now as Stretton really goes after the bunch. And he's got to go a little bit because, as I said, Peter Cobb was never really playing according to the script too well, because John Giles now is also having to go hard. And this is where we saw yesterday that the undulations of the corrugation of the track just coming into Saab corner there give these old cars quite some problems.
Well, indeed, it's primitive suspension systems, and let's not forget that these people have been touring the south of Ireland for a whole week. They've been round West Cork and Kerry, up through Clare into Galway, and then they came here to race Saturday. So they've already had quite an extensive race programme yesterday.
Peter Cobb then, number 9, leads in his 1928 version. Aston Martin there, right on his tail. John Giles, number 24, one of the most entertaining men we've seen all weekend in this class. His car's 1926, and he's right alongside him now. A real challenge.
Well, John Giles looks as though he's got the outside advantage on Peter Cobb. But we're out of camera now. There's John Giles coming in now, and John Giles certainly has got the better of him as they come down to Argus Rentals corner. John Giles from Peter Cobb. Stretton now in 3rd place in the 328 BMW. You can see Peter Cobb's car weaving under braking. John Giles running a little wide again.
And look at the wheel spin of Martin Stretton's car as they came out of Argus Rent-A-Car corner there. He's going up into 2nd, is he? There isn't a lot of room there. He's got to be careful with the undulations of the track, but he moves up into 2nd place.
As John Giles snatches up a gear, he can see Stretton in his mirrors. The race is really on now. Let's not forget that the engine that is in Stretton's car is the same thing that was used in the Cooper Bristol in the 50s, as driven by Mike Hawthorne and others. So a very rapid motor car indeed, and with relatively modern suspension. Stretton gets absolutely sideways there. John Giles working away on this outside gear lever, coming up as they do out of Saab corner, down the main straight into our view.
The amazing thing is that I think it's next weekend that Stretton is flying to Japan to compete in the ultra-modern GT2 Porsche, and there's Coley.
And this is Tony Colley, and it's lovely to see him out here today. In many ways, this race is in the honour of his late father, Dudley Colley, who was the first winner of the Hewison Trophy in 1948 when he won the race here, a handicap race at the Irish Grand Prix in Phoenix Park. So this is the only Frazer Nash ever to be registered in Ireland, and it's wonderful to see it here in the same family that it's been in since before the war. A car with a wonderful history. The race leaders now, John Giles still manages to stay ahead of Martin Stretton, who's getting a little untidy. Maybe his tyres are beginning to give him a little trouble. This car well worked over the weekend. As they go round Argus corner, down towards Saab, John Giles certainly pulling away, so there's something wrong there.
And one of the back markers looking rather anxiously as these very fast motor cars hone in and you know, it's not so long since I remember a chain gang Frazer Nash racing at Kirkuson. That used to be Lord Dunleath's car, and indeed in the early days of Kirkuson, when I started to go to motor races, it was one of the fastest cars out there. Now watch the car over these undulations. The whole front suspension just goes completely berserk.
Well, it is sort of fairly primitive, but it works, and that's the important thing. And Frazer Nash's, it's wonderful to see them still being used. And just look at Peter Cobb sliding out wide there as he comes round the Saab corner. Here we have the lady driver. No, that's there's back to John Giles. Look at the action getting down through the gears in this dog. And, oh dear, John Giles has thrown it away and let Martin Stretton through. Can he make it up again?
There's no point looking behind, it's looking ahead you need to look, John. They come side by side, down the back straight now. Tremendous stuff, both weaving. Here we see the replay. He just left it too late altogether. He was never going to get around there, Michael.
Well, I think what has happened, he's lost a gear chain. You know, you go down into a gear and you don't know that it's not going to be there. So then he tried the next gear down, and of course, disaster off while his concentration was diverted. And of course, you rely on the gears to some extent for stopping. See him putting them on the outside handbrake there, but it's Stretton in the lead.
And I happened to be at race control after this race yesterday, Michael, and a rather polite English gentleman came up to me and said, I wonder, could you help me? We need to find some of the chains that we've shed around the course.
Well, you get used to replacing them. In fact, there's one legendary Frazer Nash owner years ago, and he could take the spring clips off the chains with his big fingernail, his thumbnail. And if you see these, they're 3/4 inch chain, rather like a bicycle, but 4 times as big.
Did you spot who's next on the flight list, Michael? Who's coming up to lap another back marker? Was it Tony Colley, in fact?
Well, there we are. Yes, Tony Colley there. He's just about to be passed by Martin Stretton. 2 laps to go. Peter Cobb still in 3rd place. John Giles trying to use the advantage of Tony Colley's car to pass, or an opportunity to pass Martin Stretton, but Martin's too experienced to let him get away with it on this occasion.
And we still see that Cobb is in 3rd place, Roberts 4th, and Joe Wakefield doing very well in 5th place. And Walker in the little Thunderbug is in 6th place, not quite as high up as he was yesterday.
Well, it's still wondrous to see the huge variety, the really modern concept of the BMW, and John Giles has got past again. It's the end of his weekend. He's maybe putting a few extra revs as they come down towards the Ferry Glen. Just look at the activity there. They're really having a proper race, and it begins to look like it.
Stretton's in the right place at the moment, though. Down he comes, a car weaving under braking down into August Rent-A-Car corner, the slowest corner on the track. Now, what do you see? When they put the tire down, it's just real smoke as they come out of there. John Giles, a little bit reluctant as he came out that time, realizing that he doesn't need to let Martin get away like this at this stage of the race, and he's fighting back.
Fighting back down the inside as they come towards Saab corner, but it's still Martin Stretton. Stretton, of course, doesn't have the advantage of a limited slip differential. The Frazer Nash, with a solid bar connecting both back wheels, doesn't really suffer from the same amount of wheel spin. So some advantage there, but it's a very close thing at this stage.
Parker, I think, is about to be lapped. He should be next on the list. We'll check that as they go by, and they'll be going shortly, if our calculations are right, onto their last lap. And there's still a few back markers in the way, and this race is far from over.
Well, they're taking it side by side down the back straight.
John Giles, remember your braking area. Is he too late? Is he going to get round? I think he'll make it this time.
And he certainly has. Working on the... Well, he's gone very wide. Stretton trying for the inside, but it's just a bit intimidating. He closes the door a little on him, but Stretton's still looking for the inside line, coming up and pass 2 more conventional Nashes. We have Freddie Giles, that's John's father, has pulled out of the way to let Sun pass.
And really it is gentleman racing, because obviously they're very cautious. They're very good at using their mirrors and letting the fast men through as they come down into August's corner now for the last time. John Giles on the bumpy outside bit. He's going to have difficulty getting her stopped and getting around from there. Stretton, of course, on the tight line, so he's going to be slow out of the corner, and John Giles trying to take full advantage of that. There's a back marker in the way, and there's only one corner between now and the checkered flag.
Well, who's it going to be? Round they come this corner. It's very easy to fall off there. Giles tries to get the inside line again. Stretton still determined, getting encouragement from the marshals, waving them on. Or is he in fact slowing them down?
Stretton pointing to the left. Now we don't have the script of the finish.
There's something here. And Mark Walker is in trouble. The little car, sadly the Thunderbug, has turned over. And the marshals, of course, running. Such a fabulous drive in this car. He's a real hero, and we'll hope that things turn out all right. What a way to end the race, but a wonderful display by the Frazer Nashes here in the Phoenix Park.
Well, the